This is the fact that sales and marketing is now upside down. It's completely turned. Here's the reality. In the past, as marketers, I could write you a direct mail piece, and I could get you isolated at home by yourself, and I could try to sell you a brand new stereo with a direct mail piece. And you could read that, and you would hear all the great claims and the great copy that's written, and it's kind of difficult to do your research. You're going to go to neighbors and go, have you heard of this? They go, no, I've never heard of this. You go to the mail person, they're going, well, I don't know anybody else has heard of this. We're going to flip to the yellow pages, it's not going to happen. In the past, you could be isolated by marketers or sales professionals. They call you at home at night on your own, and you can't quickly flip on the internet back then and see what they're about. But today, the consumer has the power. If you've worked in a car dealership for 3 months, the customer coming in the door probably knows more about cars than you do, based upon their research on the internet. They'll know more about quality and the complaints about your company and what your vehicle does and doesn't do and the options than most sales pros do. In addition to that, the consumer now owns your brand. So we think that I'm going to control my brand and push it out. But then online, someone writes on a blog, this is what I think of this company. And someone else makes a comment. And someone shares some pictures on Facebook about one of our locations. And there's all these things going online, and actually those discussions online are now what are creating brand. Over the last couple of years, we've seen some very successful reporters on CNN actually quit because they were called out by the social media community on what they had to say that was inaccurate. So as we look at these things, today the customer owns the brand. Their discussion about our business and what we do really impacts our capacity to sell. So there's two things we can do. The first one is we can just simply hide and pretend it's not happening. But if I do my seminar from behind this podium, you're still there. Just because I'm not on the internet doesn't mean you're not there. They're all out there on the internet, and they're talking. And so the key here is what can I do to proactively get involved and use this to my advantage? And so why I use this example of upside down is my goal is I'm out there creating as much content as possible that's value added. The difference between new marketing today as far as social media goes, which is great because number one, it's free or almost free. It's easy to use. It's not technically prohibitive like it was a few years ago. And it's highly engaging. The big difference is number one, social media, which is really, in my opinion, a brilliant prospecting tool, it's actually a listening tool, not a marketing tool, to start off with. Does that make sense? It's a listening tool, not a marketing tool. So I can go online and listen by reading what people are blogging about. I can go on to tools like Twitter and search conversations with my industry name in a certain geographic region and see what customers are not saying yesterday or last week, but at this exact moment about my company, my brand, and my competitors. So it's a listening tool and it's a community building tool. And my goal is to be of absolute value. So it's hard. Remember, we talk about attracting clients and finding great clients. What if you could develop a method of having them find you when they're at that crisis point or close to it? When they've almost self-prescribed. So I'm going to give you an example. When I started using these tools, like blogging, I started blogging in 2002, and I started doing my audio podcast in 2004. I think the only person who listened to my podcast in 2004 was my mom. Okay, being honest, my mother was probably the only person to listen to it. And there wasn't a lot of interest in it. I was even on iTunes, but no one knew how to plug iTunes in the iPod and subscribe to a show. It was very confusing. Fast forward today now, and when I put a show up, almost instantly I have 1,200 people who listen to it. Most of them work within corporations that do business with me or could. And it's growing almost geometrically now. So I guess why I share this is I believe that within Chile and South America that social media is going to really, really start to gain momentum, just like I've seen it happen. Remember, in August, Twitter didn't exist really in Canada or the US. Like, it was just starting to go. Now there's 8 million people on it, and it's an effective business tool. So as we look at this, do you want to be chasing the herd as your competitors have figured out how to use it, or do you want to master the tools and wait for the market to come to you? I'm not saying divorce traditional media or not use advertising, but I'm saying get good at these tools of the future as far as marketing, and not the distant future. These tools are a very viable free source to connect directly with your clients. So, and I guess this is a good example, is that there are no more marketing gurus anymore, except for Jay Levinson, of course. But there are no marketing gurus. There are only customers with megaphones. And those megaphones are these tools where they can connect to thousands of people and talk about your brand. So my suggestion is create platforms, communities, and get involved so that you can get involved in that conversation and positively impact your brand. Through this, but here's the key lesson with any of these social media tools is, and I've got this, some guy says, well, how many connections do you have on LinkedIn? And I'll go, I don't know, like 400. They'll go, I've got 10,000. And my question will go, how much money have you made off it? And they'll go, well, you know, I'm just sort of collecting names. You know what, if someone's got 1,000 names on a list and I've got 40, but my 40 names are paying me money, or they're paying you money, you win. Not the person with 1,000 names. It's about getting real. So a couple of things I do is we, on a regular basis, hold meetings using a tool called meetup.com, or you can use multiple other tools. But what we do is monthly in different centers we do business, we actually invite all the people we're connected to online out to a networking function with an educational speaker for half an hour. And that one thing where we take those online relationships and bring them offline strengthens and really accelerates the lead development cycle.